Re-YouTube, on est toujours sur Disco Elysium, 6ème VOD. On avance, on progresse. Vers quoi, on ne sait pas, il y a plein de quêtes secondaires qui s'ouvrent dans tous les sens. Mais on a l'air de progresser. Et là, nous allons nous entretenir avec donc la représentante de Wild Pines qui est venue pour essayer de négocier la fin de la grève. Votre chambre Whirling n'est pas beaucoup plus grande que ce voilier. Ce yacht vaut plus que tout ce que vous pourrez gagner au cours de votre vie. C'est joyeux. C'est parti.
A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good afternoon, officers. I'm Joyce.
Elle vous tend la main en guise de salutation.
Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM.
Qu'est-ce qui nous a trahis?
Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
What is implied here? That you're a drunk? She hasn't actually said it to every drunk in town. It was spoken in jest.
Je lui serre la main.
I'm glad to see you here. I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will.
J'ai même pas encore parlé de l'affaire.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief
Salaud.
even. This is a tactic.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears.
Vous êtes sur un bateau. Vous avez l'air riche, je peux avoir un peu d'argent?
Is what you want to say, but it isn't that easy.
Attends, et
Is
pourquoi
it?
pas?
Look at that lady. Take a gander.
Quel beau
Squint your
tissu.
eyes, bub. Why, yes. Tucked away under that sturdy green raincoat, almost rustic in its simplicity, a silk shirt and matching scarf around her gentle throat, while dull orange pearls hang from her
Elle a un côté
earlobes,
Sigourney Weaver
red
un peu.
from the cold.
Non?
Her light green eyes scan you, full of knowledge and worry. These are the kind eyes of the rich man that seem to say everything is possible. Within reason.
Ouais, et alors?
Now look at you. You misery-clad simian. Barely able to tie your own laces. Your armpits are lakes.
Mais je
A
sais que je suis une
scythe of
épave.
booze precedes you.
On le
Your
dit assez
hair
souvent.
sticks to your forehead and your underwear feels uncomfortable. You're poor. Poor as balls. You can't ask this person for money. You're too.
Je suis un putain de travailleur, il n'y a pas de honte à avoir à secouer cette sangsue pour lui soutirer un peu d'argent.
You think your little communism protects you from this feeling? No. The more demeaning it is to grovel at her feet. Oh God, the lieutenant is here too. Do not dishonor the force.
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't hesitate to ask.
Parlez-moi de Wild Pines, que faites-vous chez eux?
What we do. I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking.
There was a touch of discomfort there. She wants to merely represent.
Alors, que fait le groupe?
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
Ouais, vous êtes une multinationale, quoi.
The Wild Pines Group is one of the original Révacholian Indo-tribes. Companies awarded royal monopolies by the king, the suzerain himself, centuries ago. The king is long gone, but several of the Indo-tribes remain.
sont les autres Indo-tribus?
Son-Baptiste, L-U-M, an unknown entity known as brightest star.
Vous êtes en bonne compagnie, semble-t-il.
Why, thank you.
Combien d'argent possède Wild Pines?
I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue.
Impressionnant.
20 billion is a large number, but the conglomerate employs 72,000 people. They all need to be paid. Then there are capital improvements, interest payments. A conglomerate the size of the Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It's a tremendous responsibility.
D'où sortent tous ces milliards de Wild Pines?
They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago, when pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lormantang on behalf of the suzerain. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it.
Commencer avec un monopole réel, ça doit donner une longueur d'avance.
You know more than you let on. Certainly it helped, but most of the original Indo tribes have failed or been absorbed. To survive, Wild Pines had to grow and adapt. No suzerain did that.
Quelle intention de faire un système aussi énorme avec un endroit comme celui-ci?
You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo?
8% de tout le fret dans le monde, c'est en effet une sacrée entreprise.
There are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be accounted for, lest the entire system break. Every hiccup in such a system means thousands lose their jobs, the world over. I'm here to assure that doesn't happen.
Je peux pas faire ça pendant que... Casier main de tribu. Déverrouiller un nouvel emplacement pour intérioriser la réflexion. Ça me fait quoi? Plus 1, douleur transcendée, oxygénation du sang assez barbant, psyché, tous les seuils d'apprentissage augmentent de 1. Passe à 4. Donc il faudra que je débloque un nouvel emplacement d'intériorisation pour pouvoir intérioriser ça.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
Que pouvez-vous me dire sur cette grève?
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
Une seconde, et si je veux en savoir plus sur les secrets commerciaux?
First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus.
Pas de déranger une pieuvre, laissons-la
I'm
tranquille.
glad you see it that way. To repeal the act would mean repealing the coalition government, the one that leases you the right to police West Révachol.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words.
Ne pas insister.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike.
Quel est votre rôle dans tout ça précisément?
I believe the official title is Senior Labour Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching
Ah
took
ouais, donc
place.
c'est quand même
Now
impliqué
they won't
là-dedans.
even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates.
Ah, vous parlez de Jauge Caboche.
Yes, Jean-Luc Measurehead.
Comment se passaient les discussions avant le lynchage?
Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
Ludicrous even. It's meant.
Quelles sont leurs revendications?
There are leaflets everywhere and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes, every worker, a member of the board.
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
Une posture communiste hyper agressive.
In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the board.
La plupart d'entre eux ne savent probablement pas ce que ça signifie.
Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group.
An opening gambit, surely.
On dirait une tactique d'ouverture.
So I hoped. But this type of opening is usually followed by a more reasonable offer. I've yet to hear one. Just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, call me Manana.
Oui, parce que ça veut dire appelle-moi demain.
This checks out.
Et il lui arrivait quoi à ce Gaumont?
Mr. Clare told him to, how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see.
Oh, je vois.
Yes. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union.
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
Les ruffians à la porte, c'est vous qui les avez envoyés?
The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where the union refuses to? If they were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not right now, at least.
It's implied. She's open to discussing this matter
Oui, j'avais compris.
at a later occasion.
Parlez-moi du chef du syndicat, Monsieur Claire.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first.
She's being sarcastic. Don't take her performance literally.
Ce n'est pas ce que vous pensez vraiment, n'est-ce pas?
Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
Il est si pourri que ça?
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar.
Attendez, il y en a deux comme lui?
Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues.
Qu'en est-il du syndicat lui-même en dehors des frères Claire?
The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is
Une mafia communiste en gros.
Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the wolf
Alors après, il y a eu des syndicats criminels, et surtout aux États-Unis, mais du coup, ces exemples-là sont souvent utilisés par le patronat pour discréditer les syndicats aussi. Hein. Encore une chose, vous avez dit que quelque chose s'était passé lors des élections?
I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
Comme c'est bizarre.
Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but what could they do? It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Je sais tout ce dont j'ai besoin. Changeons de sujet.
Of course. How else can I help?
Vous savez, à propos des milliards. 42%. Je vais essayer d'augmenter encore un peu pour pouvoir lui soutirer de la thune. Que pouvez-vous me dire sur ce lynchage?
Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct
J'ai pas
57.
mon insigne.
And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
How curious. Why is that, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
Vous vous souvenez quand mon collègue vous a dit que j'ai récemment souffert d'une crise médicale inhabituelle? La perte de mon insigne y est liée.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode?
Oui.
I can't hear you, darling. Speak up, please.
C'est possible, après une nuit de grande consommation d'alcool, j'ai perdu tout souvenir de ma vie et du monde. Je l'ai bouffé si ça se trouve, je me souviens de rien, ce monde, cette ville, que dalle.
Oh dear. Some kind of encephalopathic amnesia. I don't even know how to respond. I do
Et je te demande pas
believe
de,
you, naive as that may
de
sound.
commenter.
I simply can't imagine what you gain by faking such a condition.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Psst.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
Quel genre d'arrangement?
I mean, favors for favors. A dirty alliance of some sort. Consider this. Perhaps she has been planning it all along. That you convince yourself into colluding with her.
Comment puis-je m'en sortir par la négociation?
Easy. Just offer her a favor. Like I said, nice and dirty.
Il doit bien exister un autre moyen pour vous prouver que je suis policier.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something very tangible.
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Genre quoi?
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason. The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn over
Voilà,
the right
donc pour
stones.
investiguer sur le meurtre, je dois investiguer sur le trafic de drogue.
Or you can recover your badge. Though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that may be a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue.
Excusez-nous un instant, madame.
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective.
À quoi vous attendiez au juste?
Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchman.
Vraiment? Je pensais que ça se passait bien.
This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
He doesn't let it show, but there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation. Maybe this is all her plan. She might have heard about you.
Que proposez-vous? Que nous n'enquêtions pas sur le trafic de drogue?
No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are siding with the Union, or that we are on their take. We'd never hear the end of it. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done, and demand for her information on the lynching.
On pourrait se contenter de retrouver mon insigne.
Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large, and your badge is 8 by 6 centimeters.
The situation might have changed drastically by the time you locate it. Time is of the essence.
You could request a new one from the station, but that would literally take months.
Sa proposition faisait probablement partie de son plan comme tout le reste.
Yes. Knowing this does not really change our position, however.
L'entreprise a sûrement des yeux et des oreilles ici, elle était certainement au courant de mon problème.
I wouldn't go that far. Her reaction did come off as sincere to me. I think she's just quick to adapt. She's a professional, after all.
Je suis désolé de nous avoir mis dans cette situation, je vais m'en occuper.
I'm sure you will, detective.
Retournons la voir alors.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
Vous avez quelque chose sur ces tatouages?
That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question.
Donc vous savez quelque chose sur les tatouages?
Better not tie the fourth day to the backstay on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with.
She wants to answer the question. Protocol keeps her from it.
Bien, parlez-moi de ce prétendu trafic de drogue.
It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samar and Isola into Révachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff.
Si je comprends bien, les ingrédients sont acheminés de Samara à Révachol via le terminal.
Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here.
Wild Pine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut.
Et vous voulez qu'on enquête là-dessus?
Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dock Workers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link.
The handoff. The motor lorries at the roundabout.
Est-ce que je dois avoir de ma pince coupante pour ça?
Unlikely, officer. I'm talking about the lorries. Once the ingredients reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers, well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they may be vulnerable.
How convenient that they're stranded like beached whales at that roundabout.
Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout this morning. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment. I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you.
Le raciste.
Uncovering Union secrets could also give you an upper hand when dealing with them.
Pourquoi n'êtes-vous pas venu voir la MCR plus tôt?
We did, on more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls under.
We know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCM. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers.
C'est donc pas une coïncidence, les camions soient échoués à cet endroit, hein?
No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the trade committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue. Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Révachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable, the weary.
Well, At least this solves one mystery.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand.
De quelles preuves impliquant le syndicat disposez-vous?
How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves.
Vous pensez donc que la grève est financée avec le trafic d'ingrédients de base pour fabriquer les drogues?
Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you.
It sounds like she tried looking into it herself, though she's clearly not the type your typical lorryman would confide in.
On soupçonne déjà qu'un des chauffeurs était présent lors du lynchage.
The two might even be connected.
Or not. Though, if you have evidence to the contrary, I'm eager to hear it.
As eager as I am to share it, Lieutenant, once the job is done.
Bien, j'ai pris ma décision concernant l'enquête sur la contrebande.
Yes?
On va s'en occuper, sonder les chauffeurs, voir à quoi ça mène.
Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something.
Be
It may come to nothing, or
roundabout.
it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance.
Vous êtes sur un bateau.
Why, yes I am.
Pas beaucoup de gens en bateau, non?
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around?
Qu'est-ce que vous voulez dire par... Attendez, on est sur un archipel?
Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou.
Le caillou, je croyais qu'on était à Révachol.
We are. And the city of Révachol is on the island of Le Caillou.
N'empêche que j'ai jamais vu quelqu'un naviguer sur un bateau ici.
I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Révachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Révachol, between the city and the islands.
You need to make this lady admit she's only riding around on this boat because she's rich.
Oui, en effet.
Before you do, it would be pertinent to ask other questions. Gather more info on this boat of hers.
Il a un nom, ce bateau?
The boat? No. It is called Cordelati.
COVID-19?
Because that's the type of sloop it is.
The word it feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name.
Super, mais votre bateau a besoin d'être baptisé.
Okay. How about Cordelati 19? Because it was manufactured in Révachol East by a company called Cordelati, and its hull is 19 paces long.
She makes a point of being unromantic about it.
Et pourquoi pas le poisson agile?
What?
Parce qu'il est agile et ressemble à un poisson?
I think I'll stick with the factory name. But thank you.
D'accord, mais de quelle sorte de bateau s'agit-il?
It's a pleasure craft, a 19 pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business.
Ça vous plaît?
My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
Vous avez un permis pour ce bateau?
Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
Parlons du système économique du bateau sur lequel vous êtes.
Oh my, the E word. You mean to say that it's a symbol of conspicuous consumption? That I'm a member of the ruling class?
Précisément, une petite princesse d'après-guerre.
Detective, may I remind you that Mrs. Messier is a professional negotiator?
Then what does that say? Does it say docking reserved for residents of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A? 33A? This old proletarian haunt here? As I said, plenty of people drive boats, of all social strata.
Your synapses flesh.
C'est marrant, je ne vois pas d'autres mousses de la crème dans le coin.
You mean eel's hips. But point taken. I am a bourgeois woman, and this is my fast, light, interminably bourgeois boat.
Voilà.
There is no shame in her voice. A touch of sadness, yes.
Mais maintenant, elle a avoué qu'elle était bourgeoise, donc du coup, je vais pouvoir lui taper de la thune avec plus de chance.
Voila, you're doing it.
Vous avez l'air riche, je peux avoir un peu d'argent?
Why, yes, I am rich. How much money do you need? Hopefully not too much. I couldn't bring all of it with me.
She's surprisingly nonchalant about this. Could it be that she somehow knows more about your predicament than she's letting on?
J'ai besoin de 130 réals.
That's a good sum. Not too small, not fantastically large.
Disposé comme si j'essayais de brancher.
She removes a few notes and hands them to you. The paper is cold and oily to the touch. Whoa, whoa! Did you see how easy that was? Ask her for more. Toot toot, train to Moneytown.
Je peux en avoir un peu plus?
This may seem like odd behavior for a police officer, ma'am, but it's a perfectly common side effect of his unusual medical episode.
It's all right, Lieutenant. I really did bring as little cash with me as possible to avoid attention. So here you are. The last bit of filthy lucre I can share. So, I hope I didn't just bribe you, officer. It may not be technically illegal under the Emergency Act, but still.
Je suis un policier honorable, l'un des derniers hommes droits de Révachol.
You're right, ma'am, that donations are permitted under the Emergency Act, unseemly as it may be, as long as they are properly logged with the precinct.
Which he most certainly will do. Now, how else can I help the RCM today, besides supplementing its salaries?
Merci, ce sera tout pour le moment.
Of course, Detective. Take care.
J'ai la thune.
Hey,
Regardez aux alentours.
hey,
C'est à moi?
yes, you. Word on the street is you're ready to start building communism again.
Refonder le communisme.
Yes, you're ready to start building communism again. You've built it before. They've built it before. Hasn't really worked out yet. But neither has love. Should we just stop building love, too?
Difficile de te contredire.
So, what about all that communism you've promised to build? Word on the street is you've woken up from 1,000 years of slumber, promising to erect a version of communism many times greater than any attempted before. Is that true?
La rumeur, d'où est-ce que ça sort ça?
You keep saying things like, down with the bourgeoisie, eat the rich, sodomize the landowners, impound all people who have more than 25 real in their pocket, literally murder all human beings regardless of their political beliefs. That kind of stuff.
Pas faux, tu as bien résumé la situation.
Funky style. Very funky. So tell me, do you have any questions before we fire up the big communism builder? Or do we get right down to it?
Se retrousser les manches et relancer le communisme.
Oh yeah. Get the firing squads and the animal wagons ready.
Se retrousser à fond les manches et respirer l'air frais. Bam! Je vais devenir le symbole du renouveau socialiste. Le mystère du trafic. Interroger les conducteurs. Plaf, trouver les gants. Alors donc les gants. Je sais plus combien je dois au Whirling Rag, mais je pense que j'ai pas encore... ça devait être 300 peut-être. Bon bah ça c'était productif, on va sauvegarder ici. Ok. Donc il y avait une gamine avec des gants militaires par ici. Bonjour monsieur. Vous entendez les cris de mouette au loin. Fais gaffe à ce que tu dis, mecto. Dans le village des pêcheurs, elle a dit. À partir de la place centrale, longer la côte ou je ne sais quoi. C'est par ici.
You see a Samaran street vendor surrounded by a motley assemblage of goods. When he realizes you're looking at him, his face breaks into a wide, welcoming grin. The name Sileng is embroidered over his breast pocket.
Happy shopping, officer! Everything's cool here.
Qu'est-ce qui est impec?
Everything's cool. The goods are cool, the customers are cool, the place is cool. And one more thing, officer. You're very cool. Bang, 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 bang!
Vraiment? Vous croyez que je suis un impec?
Oh, yes! You got style. You got personal style. You know what you like.
Il contemple son royaume consumériste d'un air satisfait.
You like premium menswear. Look around and browse. Everything looks cool on a guy like you. Take your time.
Don't be distracted by the flattery and funny man act. Questions.
Quel type de marchandises vous vendez?
Only the coolest goods in Révachol. I've got sneakers, speakers, extremely comfy pants too. Try them on right here. No shame, only freedom.
Où est-ce que vous avez déniché ces pantalons confortables?
I'm an entrepreneur, officer. I've got sources, buyers, suppliers, distributors, manufacturers, wholesalers, all extremely cool and above board.
Vous avez une autorisation pour vendre tous ces trucs?
Good joke, officer. Here we don't have permits, just economic freedom. Take a look around.
You glance around the decrepit buildings, the miserable weather, the sidewalks strewn with sunflower seeds and a dust-choked air.
It's beautiful. Beautiful freedom.
C'est vrai Kim, il a pas besoin d'une autorisation?
It is, yes. Anyone can set up their shop whenever they feel like it.
That's right. No permits, no bureaucracy. That's why this city and its law officials are so cool.
Ça marche, pas besoin d'une autorisation, impec.
Hyper cool.
Les policiers impec comme moi, on a droit à une ristourne?
No need for discounts at ceilings, officer. Everything's already on sale. Anything you want, 50% off.
But did he first mark them up
Ouais.
100%, just so that he could put them on sale?
C'est vraiment en promotion ou vous vous êtes contenté de gonfler les prix en amont?
My man, you know how the game is played. You and me, we should work together. What do you think? Shake things up?
D'accord, j'ai encore une question à vous poser.
Anything for you.
D'où vous venez Sileng?
Me? It's a boring story, officer. Who cares about the past? I'm all business now. All Révachol.
This man probably comes from Seaguy, sometimes known as the Apricot Suzerainty, an archipelago in the Samaran Isola.
Vous venez de la suzeraine des abricots, pareil?
Apricot Suzerainty calls to mind an era when the Seaguy archipelago was colonized by Révachol. It's a bit of a slur, in other words.
Désolé, ce que je voulais dire c'est que vous venez de Seaguy.
Very cool. I admire your awareness of our intertwined histories. It's super nice of you to apologize for colonialism, but the Apricot Suzerainty is a shithole.
Mais c'est uniquement un trou à rat à cause de Révachol, non?
If you say so, officer, I don't worry too much about politics. I'm an entrepreneur, you know. Whatever's good for business.
Donne-moi de la thune.
Start with a little compliment, then work your way up from there. This is about business, remember.
Dit-il, votre entreprise a l'air de marcher du tonnerre de Dieu. Vous voudriez pas soutenir un membre des forces de police?
Oh, okay.
C'est un
Why,
investissement.
officer?
C'est un investissement en quelque sorte.
An investment? What kind of investment?
Je suis flic, il vaut mieux entretenir de bonnes relations avec la MCR.
I hear you, officer. What kind of a sum are we talking about here?
10 réals.
Sounds like a fair deal all around.
Je suis en train de rançonner tous les commerces,
Corruption.
comme le syndicat.
It's just like bus or seagull. A kid watching out of a window describing things going by. He doesn't like it too much, but what do you do?
Je vais jeter un œil dans le coin, merci. La thune. Mes soucis de thune vont bientôt être finis. De l'air chaud s'élève des égouts. L'odeur acide et aigre est étrangement réconfortante. Alors c'est pas ici le village des pêcheurs? Ou c'est là-dedans? T'es qui toi?
Evening, officers.
A burly man hangs out by the waterlock, carving up a generous serving of salami with an old hunter's knife. His eyes are fixed on a man stranded on the other side of the waterlock.
Bon, commençons par le commencement. Que faites-vous donc ici, mon brave?
Into the canal between them.
My friend Barry the Butcher is stuck on the other side of the waterlock. I'm keeping him company and eating his salami.
From the corner of your eye, you see a man in a yellow shirt and grey overalls waving at you from across the canal. He seems disappointed about the wreckage on the waterlock and the salami.
Very good stuff. Anything I can do for you, officer?
C'est vous ce qui a causé ces dégâts?
I wasn't here to witness it, but those look like tire tracks on that sign. Weird, huh? Then again, plenty of daredevil drivers in Révachol.
The words "daredevil driver" sound ominous.
Ça me rappelle un comics.
Too bad it also takes a year and a day to repair anything around here, especially a waterlock. The rest of the coast is closed off till then.
Vous savez ce qu'il y a le long de la côte?
Well, there's the fishing village, an abandoned fish market, a bizarro church. Not much use to the congregation, though. There always seems to be something wrong with it.
Donc c'est de l'autre côté qu'il faudrait aller.
Yeah, not really much else. Just bombed out ruins.
Est-ce que je pourrais avoir un bout de saucisson?
Sure thing. Want some too, officer?
Why not?
Très bien, au revoir. Petit sauciflard. Bon, ok, donc du coup... Des mitaines. Est-ce que j'enfilerai pas ces mitaines que je viens de trouver dans une poubelle? Apparemment, ça va plutôt bien avec mon style. Alors, les conducteurs de camions, on va commencer par le raciste. La nuit est en train de tomber. Salut mon gaillard, comment on se retrouve?
Looking for something?
Vous êtes camionneur, pas vrai? Qu'est-ce que vous pensez des drogues?
Drugs? They're shit, man. I don't let anything pollute my body.
Pourquoi pas?
You know where that shit comes from? Sarah Miriza, Safre, Ilmara. They take the money from our local junkies here and then use it to outcompete us in the manufacturing sector. They know they can't beat us in a fair fight, so they have to get us to weaken
Ouais,
ourselves
bon.
somehow. It's racial sabotage, racial economic sabotage.
Perhaps it's good to agree to get him talking.
On est sur la même longueur d'onde, il faut empêcher ce poison de se répandre dans les rues de Révachol.
He eyes you wearily, unsure how to respond. This goes on for about 2 seconds. Damn, it didn't work. You should have signaled you're a nationalist before.
I don't know shit. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you.
Dans ce cas, qu'est-ce que vous fabriquez ici? La plupart des charretiers sont partis.
What do you think? I can't leave the lorry unguarded. Stuff's been getting looted lately. It's those little kips sneaking around at night. If they touch my stuff, the bosses will be on my ass like ass cancer.
There was a bunch of spilled boxes in the back of a big lorry nearby.
J'ai vu un camion avec la portière ouverte, vous savez ce qui s'est passé?
Yeah, I knew that guy. He was an honest driver who loved this country. We were having a good debate about genetics at the Wheeling in Rags when some kip boys smashed his lock and took damn near everything. lost his fucking job over it. Since he left, I haven't had anyone to talk to.
If they were getting drunk inside the whirling in rags, how could they know who broke into the lorry?
Si vous étiez au Whirling, comment est-ce que vous pouvez savoir que c'est des kips qui ont fait le coup?
What? Aren't we allowed to say that he's a kips who do all the stealing around here? That's not road to science, man.
Si vous n'êtes pas impliqué, alors qui fait passer des stupéfiants par le terminal B?
Isn't it obvious? Fucking Sealang, that beady-eyed South Samaran. His little side business is a scam. I wouldn't be surprised if he was peddling drugs as well.
Une seconde, vous parlez du marchand ambulant au sud? Ce mec est un camionneur?
Of course he's a lorry driver. What? He tell you he's just some simple businessman or some shit? He's selling his employer stuff after he broke the seals on his Humanux lorry. His tribe are natural liars. It's in their blood. He's your man, all right? 100%.
I wouldn't be so sure about it. Not until we've heard what Sealang himself has to say.
Il va donc falloir rendre visite à Sealang.
Guess so.
Nous en terminons pour l'instant. Commençons par retourner au Whirling Rag parce que là il commence à se faire nuit. Est-ce que les syndicalistes sont venus? Et est-ce qu'on peut rembourser notre dette? Les syndicalistes ont l'air d'être là. Ça va être Karaoke Night.
Can I help you? Yes. Have you got it?
J'ai votre argent.
Well.
Tenez, navré pour le dérangement.
Great. Thank you, officer. That's all I wanted. Payment for services rendered.
He's not sorry about his behavior for your sake. Now that you have money, he really wants to make sure you're not angry with him.
It's good you paid before 9 p.m. or your door would have
Oula.
been locked electronically. Please pay for each night in advance starting tomorrow. 20.
I'll take a room here too.
Of course. Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do for you?
Ok, donc j'ai monté un petit niveau. Qu'est-ce qu'on va... Ah oui, il fallait que j'augmente ça là. Je dépense un point de talent pour créer ce truc et je vais apprendre l'économie sociale masoviste. Car ça me semble important. J'ai besoin d'un verre, vous pouvez m'en servir un?
Do I have a shaker in my hand? Is this...
He sounds irritable, and it's not a shaker. It's nothing.
Non, il n'y a rien ici.
Am I wearing a little bow tie? Am I smiling? Do you see me smiling and shaking my little shaker?
Parce que vous n'êtes pas
That's
barman.
right.
Play it calm. This man needs to understand you need a drink to help the community deal with police stuff.
Vous ne saisissez pas la gravité de la situation, je suis un alcoolique, il me faut ma dose.
Even more reason for me not to serve you, sir. Was there anything else you needed?
Au revoir.
Hey, so we've been monitoring you internally, and now we know your corpo type.
Ah ouais, je suis quoi d'après toi?
Guess.
Je suis un flic cool.
No, you're the sorry cop. The cop who's sorriest. Let's make it official then, shall we? Huge lack of enthusiasm going on in here.
Tu sais quoi, je suis pas désolé, j'ai changé d'avis.
No, you don't. Come on. You'll be back to saying sorry in 2 minutes.
Non, je suis pas du
Stop
tout désolé, va te
wasting
faire
time.
mettre.
Wow. Okay. Fuck off. Maybe.
Je peux pas parler avec les gens.
Yes?
Ok. Alors j'étais prêt à aller chercher la broche pour la rendre à la vieille, mais s'il faut que je paye 20 balles par nuit pour avoir ma chambre d'hôtel, peut-être que j'économise un maximum ma thune. On va aller voir ce qu'il a, mais déjà on va parler au mec qui est à côté. Trouver de l'argent pour payer Gart. Vous devez payer 20 réals, oui. parler à celui-là avant, Skillag.
Now it's turning into a kind of a snow limbo, man. What's on your mind?
Vous aurez pas une pièce pour un honnête travailleur?
Huh? Oh. No, I ain't got any money. They don't want to pay for unfinished work.
Qui ça, il?
The bosses, man.
Vous êtes fauché comme les blés, pigé. J'avais encore 2-3 questions.
Dunno.
Vous avez l'air de vous y
What
connaître
you
en
need?
matière de stupéfiants.
Ah, man. Me and narcotics go way back. Had some good times surfing the psychic waves of my own consciousness, you know? But those days are behind me. There are other addictions in my life now. Why the inquiry, my man?
Est-ce que vous financez ces lubies en vendant de la drogue?
Hey, man, that's serious criminal talk. Are you trying to pull some sort of an entrapment thing on me?
Entrapment is a practice whereby an officer of the law induces a person to commit a criminal offense that the person would have otherwise been unlikely to commit, usually through some trickery, persuasion, or fraud.
Quoi? Non, bien sûr que non.
Then what's your deal here?
So much for subtlety. Better get straight to the point.
Je préfère les droits au but. J'essaie de découvrir qui fait passer des stupes par le terminal B.
We have a credible lead, sir. Someone on this roundabout is waiting for a bulk shipment from the harbor to load it on their lorry and drive it to Jamrock.
Not me, man. No way. I don't need any trouble. Shit's bad enough anyway. This jam's got folks up in arms, and I'm afraid it's headed toward a conflagration.
Du coup, qui dirige le trafic de drogue selon vous?
Look, man, I try to stay away from the criminal underbelly of Révachol. I'm a guest here. You really need to find another man to probe with those questions.
We wouldn't say he's lying, sire.
C'est tout pour l'instant, à la prochaine. Bah, allons voir Skillag. Name is Skillag G. Chandapo. Let me read you.
Everything's still cool here, officer.
Sinon, Sileng, qu'est-ce que vous pensez de la drogue?
Drugs? I don't go in for that, officer. Drugs ruin lives. Unless you're into drugs, of course. In which case, drugs are excellent. Mwah! Tasty, tasty drugs.
Moi là, je me drogue à fond.
That's very cool. A lot of the coolest detectives do drugs. Sadly, I don't have any drugs on sale. Or at my home, or on my purse.
Nous sommes à la recherche d'un camionneur qui transporte des stupéfiants depuis le port. Cet individu est coincé dans l'embouteillage.
That's even cooler. You investigating that and all. But I am not a lorry driver. I'm just a street vendor. I don't know anything about that.
A blatant lie, sire. Yet he tells it with such conviction. We'd believe him if we didn't know better.
C'est ce que vous êtes pourtant. Un autre camionneur vous a identifié, vous et votre véhicule.
Who said that? It's the fat
Oui.
faces, right? I bet it's him. He has an agenda against me because I'm an immigrant who works harder than he does. He's a hater.
So you admit
It's a
you're a
hater.
lorry driver?
No, I just said I work harder and he's an asshole. I'm... Okay, maybe I'm a lorry driver too. A little. But that's not the most important thing about me. That's my day job.
Vous
This
aviez oublié de me le
is
dire,
my
n'est-ce pas?
dream. Exactly. It's such a small part of my life. It's in the rear view mirror now. I'm climbing out of that hole with ingenuity.
Sileng, selon mes sources, c'est vous qui transportez des stupéfiants pour le compte du syndicat.
No! That's insane! It's the fat hater. He's been eyeing me for a week and he sent you here. Maybe he's the one, huh? Have you thought about that?
Arrêtez de tourner autour du pot. Qu'est-ce que vous savez à propos du trafic de drogue au port?
Nothing. I told you. I'm not a dumb guy. I don't get involved with that crowd.
And what crowd is that?
Crowd, you know, the drug crowd.
No, he wasn't talking about an abstract crowd. It was that crowd. He doesn't want to talk about them. He's afraid.
Qui est-ce qui vous fait peur comme ça, Sileng?
Look, there's bad people doing bad things here. That's all I know. Please don't get me into this mess. I've spent 15 years working my way up.
Here we go. There's a tiny bit of truth on the table. Zoom in on it.
Si vous voulez pas être mêlé à cette affaire, il va falloir nous donner une bonne raison d'aller voir ailleurs.
It's a she, okay? Other drivers call her the lady driver. You're better off staying away from her. The way they talk about her.
Une femme, elle est où
She's
cette
no
femme?
lady.
Je n'en ai pas croisé une seule sur ce rond-point.
There's one by the statue of that king. I haven't gone near her. And I won't either.
The third driver. We haven't talked to her yet. Where exactly is she? Near the horseback monument?
In her lorry there. But I don't know if it's her. Are we cool now? I think we're cool now.
C'est qui les autres qui parlent d'elle?
All of them. I don't know. I told you all I know. Are we cool now? I really want us to be cool now.
Who exactly is talking about this lady driver of yours? The racist or the other one with the tattoos?
All of them. Even the ones who've left. I don't hang out with them. I don't remember who has tattoos.
D'accord, tout baigne.
All right. I scored. Let's cap this off with a purchase. You can walk away from here with funky sunglasses, detective.
Je vais vous laisser
Both of
tranquille
you.
pour l'instant.
You
Près de la statue équestre, il y a une nana dans un camion. Pas vu ça, moi.
The small, wrinkled woman does not greet you. She nods along to something on her radio. A photograph is clutched in her hands, and there is a warm smile on her face.
Putain, le dessin qu'ils lui ont fait.
The photo, an ambrotype from the turn of the century, as golden as her smile. It's the warmth of a winter night's fire. Maybe she could give you comfort and shelter, some cigarettes and food money. Maybe she's your
Mamie?
nothing. Her smile just keeps widening. Her hair is grey like lead.
Excusez-moi, madame, j'ai des questions à vous poser.
No response. Wherever this woman is, your words fail to reach her.
Faire claquer vos doigts sous son nez.
If you want her attention, you may need to be more forceful.
Faire claquer vos doigts 2 fois.
Where am I? Who are you?
Vous l'avez rappelé à la réalité comme un magicien versé dans l'art de l'hypnose.
The smile on her face has disappeared, replaced by the weary aspect of a cornered beast.
Tout va bien, madame? Vous aviez l'air absente.
Never mind. I remember now. I'm still stuck in that traffic jam in the 50s.
Je veux savoir pourquoi les années 50 vous débectent autant?
The men have small jaws and everything is made out of plastic. Why do you need plastic when you can make the world out of amber?
Vous aimeriez être à quelle époque?
Back in Methka, during the time of the revolution, the sidewalks and cafes are filled with young people. I was on my way to see a new Boyadero picture starring Gabriel Buendero. Until you came along, that is.
C'est qui Gabriel Buenguero?
This is Gabriel Buendero.
Elle exhibe une photographie dans un cadre en ambre somptueux.
A strikingly handsome man looks straight at you, his head crowned with a wide brim hat. His hair is dark as an oil slick, and this
Merde.
man's got a hold over her. Even 50 years later, you can feel it.
He was the biggest star of his day. Girls used to faint in the aisles of cinema whenever he came on the screen. And schoolboys used to memorize all his lines.
In all likelihood, it's a world that's only ever existed in her mind.
Désolé de vous avoir retiré de vos rêveries, madame.
I wasn't dreaming. I was there, Loman. It was early spring, and the man behind the black sun had just come out. The posters were 20 meters tall. While you, people, were tearing each other apart over your petty little revolution. In Meth, it was a golden age.
The Republic of Mesk is a massive confederation on the Isola of Muindi, the world's largest state by territory. It's a petrostate, a constitutional monarchy, and, as of recently, an outcast due to its tilt to the far right.
J'en conclus que vous habitiez à Mesque pendant vos jeunes années.
Someone was.
C'est pas vos souvenirs, mais ceux de quelqu'un d'autre?
They are someone's memories, boy. What difference does it make if it's me or not? They're beautiful. That is all that matters. Beautiful and true. And they will win. They're coming for this, you know? All of this.
She seems to derive some bitter pleasure from this strange thought, as if the past will one day wipe the present away, like a tidal wave approaching.
Bien, j'ai d'autres questions à vous poser dans le cadre d'une enquête policière.
Why not, Sheriff? It's not like I have anything better to do in this hellhole.
Pose le coude sur la portière. Derrière elle, le tableau de bord est saturé de souvenirs, de photographies et de babioles en tout genre. C'est quoi? C'est qu'elle est... C'est catalane pour ça qu'il y a un X?
There's something off about this woman. Tell her to show you the soles of her boots. Maybe she was at the hanging somehow.
Montrez-moi vos semelles.
Now what do you want with an old woman's boots, Sheriff?
C'est pour une affaire policière importante. Vous voulez pas coopérer? C'est important, s'il vous plaît.
Please? I think you should let me get back to Gabriel Buenguerro. You are not Gabriel. Gabriel doesn't say please.
She's wearing sturdy worker's boots, made of black leather. Buckles run across. The sole is also made of leather.
L'autre, s'il vous plaît.
Just before Gabriel, it was the coronation of Franco Negro. Now, there was a real man.
La semelle n'a rien d'anormal, elle pose son pied à terre.
Moreover, the boots were size 37. Tiny. There are too many discrepancies in all this. Another discrepancy, although not boot-related, is the coronation of His Innocence, Franco Negro, which happened 500 years ago.
Une seconde, le couronnement de Franco Nero.
It was. And then it was no more. And I was no longer holding my father's hand. He was no longer descending the stairs in Ryle. The crowd had gone silent. Perhaps it was another Jerife who came and woke me up, looking at my boots, asking questions. Or perhaps it was one of the others in this carnival. I don't remember.
As she says carnival, she gestures to the empty square with the statue and the machines.
Ce n'est pas drôle de semelle, les empreintes ne correspondent pas.
I could have told you that from just looking at them. The size is 37.
The feet of a little girl, they fit well on the pedals.
Avant mon arrivée, vous avez l'air ailleurs.
She's just a distracted old woman. We should maybe let her get back to her things.
So he doesn't think she's the lady driver?
You hear that, Lowman? I don't think your partner likes you spending too much time with me.
Une seconde, pourquoi ça, lieutenant?
Nothing. I just don't think she's connected to anything.
Et t'as tort.
He doesn't want your frail mind caught up in something here. Something unconnected to the case. But connected to this woman tuning out like that.
Est-ce vraiment raisonnable de conduire un camion dans cet état?
Oh, don't worry about me. I'm one of the best camioners around. I drive routes no one else will.
Quelle route?
Lomonosovsland, Utachnaya Zemlya, Western Plain, the Transcatolia Magistral, U418, Adestradas do Mirador, all the good ones, the deep trenches, where the bluebirds fly.
Chouette, bientôt tu ne seras plus que poussière, ma sœur.
Irmao, I already am dust.
Qu'est-ce que vous transportez?
Diamonds?
Des diamants, vraiment?
Of course not. But wouldn't it be marvelous
Sinon,
if I was?
sinon qu'est-ce que vous transportez en vrai?
Whatever stupid things they put in the lorry, I imagine.
Si je comprends bien, vous nous ignorez ce que vous transportez dans votre camion.
I quit concerning myself with that a long time ago. Besides, I don't drive the lorry for the cargo, if you know what I mean.
Ça se trouve, c'est de la contrebande.
Then it's contraband, Lowman. What? Do you want to take an old woman in? Be my guest. Lock me away like Bad Hand Hermenegildo.
Bad hand. Hermenegildos' bad hand strangled 300 people. What can I say? Some people just really like strangling people.
Vous avez l'air d'en connaître un rayon en matière de stupéfiants.
What do I need drugs for, Lowman? What I see, what I feel, the great adversary, no drugs can compare.
L'adversaire.
Yes, there is a protagonista and an adversario. I am on the side of the adversary. There's no coming back from that hole.
Those epithets are familiar somehow. The great adversary, the great unrest.
Comment je fais pour me procurer moi aussi?
If you don't know,
Maybe if she thought you're corrupt.
Je voulais vous demander si ça vous dirait de transporter les stupéfiants.
why would I want to do that?
Pour la gloire de la République mondiale, au nom de la libération de l'esprit et du corps.
Lowman, what in the name of God are you talking about?
Bon, je vous pose la question autrement. Est-ce que vous transportez de la drogue par le terminal B?
Maybe, probably not. Makes no difference to me either way.
Vous avez dit que vous ne saviez pas ce que vous transportez de la drogue, peut-être?
Just this month, I made half a dozen trips from Saramiriza to Grad, the U41A. What do you think they take from Saramiriza to Grad?
De la drogue?
No, Lowman, diamonds.
Pourquoi est-ce que vous me parlez de ça? Je m'en fiche des diamants.
Diamonds are good for you, Lowman. You should try them sometime. Make yourself pretty like Eva de Zoras.
À votre avis, qui pourrait être mêlé à un trafic de drogue dans les parages?
Easy. It's the skinny man who thinks he's a poet. Never trust a poet.
Putain, ils se
Also, he's
dénoncent
the
tous les uns
only
les
one
autres.
I can see from here.
That's correct. There is no visibility of any of the others.
D'accord, mais du coup, si vous n'êtes pas mêlé au trafic de drogue, pourquoi est-ce que vous vous attendez ici?
Where do you want me to go? This isn't so bad. I can listen to music, or the seagulls. Look at all the colors and the futures of this world. It's a good palate cleanser, this jamboree. Or I can just relax and let my mind carry me back where it will, to the Great Plains.
I think we're done here, no?
Merci, à la prochaine.
Yes, go. Enough jamboree. I need to get back to Mesque.
Bon, on va retourner voir le poète Tommy le Homme.
Now it's turning into a kind of a snow limbo, man.
J'ai entendu dire qu'il y avait une femme parmi les camionneurs, mais je crois pas qu'elle soit dans le coin. Vous connaissez la conductrice?
I don't want to talk about that.
J'aime autant éviter de fourrer mon nez dans vos affaires, mais j'ai besoin de votre aide. Elle est peut-être impliquée dans cette histoire de drogue.
Man, I was hoping it isn't gonna be her. All I can say is, she isn't around here anymore. She isn't some evil drug trafficker. And I don't know where she is.
Je vous ai demandé qui dirigeait le trafic de drogue et vous m'avez répondu que vous en savez rien. Et finalement, vous en savez quelque chose.
I didn't, man. I told you I was hoping it's not her. That she wouldn't be mixed up in it.
He still is, hoping. It's just wishful thinking on his part, not trickery. It's true, we would have caught a lie, but a kind heart is tricky. Bah, emotional rhetoric. He knew something and he didn't share it with you. That's a fact.
C'est qui pour vous?
A friend? An acquaintance? I don't know. She was the only person in this damn jam I could talk to. She's someone I don't want to rat out to the law, okay?
De qui s'agit-il? Comment s'appelle-t-elle?
Thank God I don't know. People here call her the lady driver. She kept her name a secret. From me too. Now I see why.
Elle ressemble à quoi?
A youngish woman. Gruff, but in a cool way.
What color hair?
Blue and violet. Dyed. It was violet when she got here. Blue before she went.
Then she may have dyed it again.
Quand est-ce qu'elle est partie?
Damn, I don't want to... Please just let it go. Whatever she did, it can't be that bad. She's not a bad person. I know that much.
We can't just let it go. It's part of a police investigation.
That's how it always is with you, isn't it? All part of the investigation. The girl's troubled. If you hunt her down, she may not survive it. I can't have that on my conscience.
It won't come to that. We won't pursue her on this. This is information only.
I don't believe you.
Vous pouvez nous croire, c'est la vérité.
I just can't, man. I'm not naive.
Vous avez dit qu'elle était perturbée, comment ça?
She's got the darkness in her. That young person's darkness when you think it's all over. And you're looking for a way out.
She shared this with you?
Yes. Which is why I don't want to snitch on her.
C'est pas balancé, je vous demande simplement de répondre à quelques questions.
It's snitching, man. I know what it is.
On m'a dit qu'elle faisait flipper tout le monde, pas vous?
I heard the rumors. I saw the other drivers looking at me strange when we talked. And she told me, too, that she's had a violent life. But I wasn't afraid of her. More like for her.
Did this violent life include drug trafficking?
Well, it looks like it did now. But we didn't talk about that. We talked about life, you know? She talked about her mind.
Est-ce qu'elle est partie sans son camion?
Fuck, man. Go grill someone else with these questions, okay? There are plenty of drivers here who couldn't stand her, or were afraid of her. They'd be more than happy to rat her out.
He's right. There are other options. The raceman, for one. The grey-haired woman. Maybe she knows something. Wait, this guy says they're friends. Then, acquaintances. And he's okay with others ratting her out. Push Tommy and it will break his heart. And his spirit. Don't expect you to be pals.
Si je comprends bien, les autres peuvent la balancer, mais vous ne voulez pas vous salir les mains, j'ai bon?
Fine. I don't want to be a butcher. And I don't want to be a knight either. I just want to be a person who can sleep at night. A little fame wouldn't hurt too.
Mettez-vous à ma place, j'ai aussi besoin de cette info pour une autre enquête, c'est important, je ne peux pas me permettre de rater le coche.
You're not going to put a bullet in your head if you blow it, are you? Because she's on the edge, man.
Imagine it. An explosion of stars. Goodbye world of men, money and machines.
C'est une suspecte et j'ai besoin de savoir où elle se trouve, sinon j'arriverai pas à boucler l'enquête.
I thought you were a different kind of cop.
The realization that you've used his friendliness and goodwill for your own ends.
Où est la conductrice?
Here.
Il sort un porte-clés de sa poche et examine avant de vous le remettre en silence.
Laurie's still here. Down past the statue of Philippe. The cabin is green. You can get in there with these. That's all I know.
When did she leave?
Quand est-elle partie?
Last Friday.
Vous avez autre chose à me dire? Vous savez où elle est en ce moment?
No.
Pourquoi
I
est-ce que,
don't know.
pourquoi est-ce que vous avez les clés?
She left them to me. Because she trusted me. So I can get it out of the way when the jam breaks loose. Otherwise...
The other drivers would have to tow it or break in to get the machines moving.
If they break in, they would find what's hidden inside. Something incriminating.
Je regrette sincèrement, j'aurais préféré ne pas en arriver là.
I bet you are.
And he's sorry he couldn't be what he wants to be. A good person. His last line, his revenge on the world.
Encore une chose si vous le voulez bien.
Nah. I need to think my own thoughts now. Pray forgiveness for my sins. Go check your cabin. I hope it gets you something. Help someone.
Ok. Cabine verte. Cabine verte, cabine verte, cabine verte, c'est ici.
This green found, A to Z, contemporaire, is parked in the shadow of the ruins looming overhead. It's seen better days.
This is the one our men pointed to.
Essayez de jeter un œil à
The
l'intérieur.
glass on the side windows is tinted and covered with dust. You can barely make out the shape of the seat and two steering levers.
Déverrouillez la portière à l'aide de la clé que Tommy vous a remise.
You push the key into the lever and turn. It makes a cracking sound. Then the door pops back a few centimeters. You can just... The
L'ouvrir.
smell of cigarettes and perfume welcomes you. The cabin inside is plastered with old movie posters. Actresses smile from the walls. There's a radio transmitter in the front and a toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. Some tools lie scattered near the pedals.
Admirez les posters.
These are movie posters featuring starlets from long-forgotten films from the 20s, the teens, even the 90s of the last century. One of them particularly catches your eye, a centerfold of an ingenue attached right above the back seat.
Observez la pin-up.
The actress is draped in a sheath dress, one of her shoulders bared. The faded remains of an autograph run across the poster. She's looking past the camera. This is Tijon, a starlet from the dawn of cinematography, less known for her talent than her tragic, untimely death.
Qu'est-ce qui lui est arrivé?
She wasted away in a drug den called Door to the River, not far from here, on Boogie Street, a mixture of cocaine and morphine. She was afraid of the world and the camera.
Ça suffit avec les posters.
The actresses and the rear actor all smile you a warm goodbye. A radio transmitter is attached to the dashboard and a toolbox sits under the driver's seat.
Examinez la radio.
Looks like the frequency dial is absent. It requires a key to work, but the key has been removed, likely by the missing lady driver.
Strange. There are so many radio stations saved here. Must be over 100 at least.
À quoi ça sert d'enregistrer autant de stations?
For contacting an entire fleet of lorrymen, for example. This is all shortwave, UW and UKV. Looks like we are dealing with an impressive organizational tool. The nerve center of a huge operation, with quite a range too.
Y a-t-il quelque chose qu'on puisse faire avec cette radio?
Doesn't look like it. It's completely inoperable without a dial key.
Est-ce qu'il y a autre chose d'intéressant?
The smell of 1,000 cigarettes, some dead actresses, and a rusty old toolbox under the seat.
Examinez les pédales.
You wedge yourself under the steering wheel to get a better look. Seems like the few tools lying around here, a hammer, a pair of pliers, a rusty wrench, have been casually thrown there by the disorganized driver. But one odd detail does catch your eye. A piece of sandpaper has been glued to the throttle. Sandpaper adds extra grip.
Apparemment, la conductrice a collé un bout de papier de verre à l'accélérateur pour éviter de glisser sur la pédale.
Sandpaper? A novel technique?
Peut-être que le papier de verre a aussi fait disparaître le dessin sous la semelle de la botte droite du conducteur.
Yes.
Ah.
Do the honors, he thinks. Connect it yourself.
L'une des empreintes de la scène du crime représentait une anomalie. L'une des semelles était plus lisse que l'autre.
Which means that the missing lady driver was present at the lynching.
Et elle dirige aussi le trafic de drogue. Elle va nous donner du fil à retordre, celle-là.
We've identified one of the footprints, but there are still 7 to go.
The movie stars are still smiling from the walls.
Pas mal.
There's a radio transmitter in the front.
La boîte d'outils.
Slides out from the seat. It's empty, except for a folded newspaper.
Je déplie le journal.
It's an issue of Périphérique from last Wednesday. A piece of paper falls out from its pages.
Je ramasse la note.
It looks like an article ripped out from a radio enthusiast magazine. Complex mathematical equations explain the basics of something called the Ulan frequency system.
The Ulan frequency system? I've never heard of that before. I know of FM, AM, UKV, but...
Poussez la boîte à outils
The
rétractable.
Ulan toolkit slides back into its nest. The rest is as it was. Radio, posters, a trace of motor oil smell under all the cigarettes.
Je ferme la portière.
You close the rusty old lorry door.
Great. I think we got everything. A word, detective? Before we return to Joyce?
Oui, je t'écoute.
All right, we've finished here. Let's quickly debrief and go over what we found, so we don't do it in front of the company rep.
On dirait que c'est un travail pour la police, qu'en pensez-vous, Kim?
Honestly, I'm quite worried by what we've seen so far. The evidence seems to point to a rather extensive and well-organized operation. I'm especially intrigued by that radio transmitter, particularly the sheer number of stations it can connect. Looks like this alleged drug trade casts a wide net.
This means it's well funded. Technology like that, a major player must be financing it.
Wild Pines eux-mêmes, du coup?
I'm not sure what the Ulan frequencies are all about, but they may hold some significance. Perhaps it's a better way to connect between fleets while avoiding frequency bleed, or maybe it's used to tap into RCM networks.
Vous pensez que ça a à voir avec le syndicat?
We didn't find anything conclusive linking them to the smuggling operation. But somehow, I doubt that Everard Clare would be oblivious to something like this happening right under his nose. My suggestion is, we use it against the Union in any way we can, to our own ends. It's a slippery hill, but we just might be able to pin them down, indirectly, down the road.
La MCR va-t-elle ouvrir une enquête à ce sujet?
We should return to the murder case, see what Joyce tells us about the lynching. When we are done for the day, I call my station and suggest our narcotics department look into it. There are more than enough grounds to start an official investigation, sometime later when we are done here. We do not want to get caught in that.
À quoi pensez-vous?
The fact that one hasn't started already gives me pause. An investigation, I mean. Especially if the Madrid grouping is involved, and I can't imagine they aren't. It's certainly worrisome.
Vous pensez que c'est signe de corruption?
All the same, I don't like the idea of internal affairs descending on the matter. That won't help anyone either.
Et le poster de film, quel est leur rôle?
As elegant as they are, I don't think they are relevant to the drug trade.
Peut-être que la trafiquante est une sorte de cinéphile?
Yes, well...
Bah, on peut la trouver dans un cinéma, peut-être.
Unimportant.
Ok, débriefing terminé.
Debrief over. After you.
Et de même que cette VOD, merci d'avoir suivi, c'était Démon et on se retrouve très bientôt pour suivre ce disco Elysium. On a pas mal avancé, on a trouvé donc ces preuves de l'organisation du trafic de drogue. La prochaine fois, on essaiera d'utiliser donc ces éléments pour pouvoir accéder éventuellement au port, en apprendre plus sur le lynchage, on verra. Merci à tous, c'était Démon et à la prochaine.